All right, Devil Horn salute. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, test. Test this crappy equipment. Test. One salute, gang. I've been doing these Army videos. I built up a base in a 4 matinee, and it's Veterans Day, and I just did the first Air Cavs assault into the Idrang Valley, and it dawned on me. I was talking to the lady, says, you know what? Next year, it'll be the 60-year anniversary when the Vietnam War started. I was only 1 year old and a month when the Vietnam War official start. There'd been a few advisor injuries and deaths beforehand, mostly Special Forces guys, but no, we officially entered, 59 years ago. It always seems that in November, right before the holidays, it seems that's the best time to get your son killed, Mom. Get a letter from the department. Sorry to inform you that your boy's coming home to you in a body bag. So, little Veterans Day here thing, and I have a request from somebody. One of my viewers ago, could you do something about the Big Red One, because my dad was there in 1965. So why don't we do a little throwback to Vietnam? Good morning, Vietnam. It's 1965 with the Big Red One.
The arrival of the first Big Red One troops in Vietnam in July 1965 was very quiet and efficient. They were moved swiftly off the beach at Cam Ranh Bay and sent to various base camps in the Saigon area.
So they're the first guys showing up.
The first task was housekeeping and setting up defense perimeters.
These are the guys that started building the fire bases. Then they go on patrols.
The area around the base camps, but also to harden the men to the difficult climate and terrain. In all the varied combat history of the 1st Division, it had never fought in the soggy, humid climate of the tropics, or in the tall grass or thickets of the jungle, or in its rivers and swamps. The foot soldiers were inducted into airmobile patrols. There was contact with the enemy, so that they learned something about his guerrilla tactics. But there was no big action until November. By that time, over 14,000 1st Division men were in Vietnam. Their area of operations was to be a vast portion of central South Vietnam, from the Cambodian border to the South China Sea. Division headquarters was set up 20 miles north of Saigon at Ye An, under Major General Jonathan O. Seaman, first of the 5 commanding generals the Big Red One was to have in Vietnam. The first of the dozens of major battles the division would fight in Vietnam took place at the tiny village of Ap Bao Bang, north of Lai Khe on Highway 13. On a sweep along Highway 13, several units of the 1st were hit by a reinforced Viet Cong regiment. 3 enemy frontal assaults were thrown back by intense small arms fire plus automatic weapons. The 4th and heaviest Viet Cong assault was stopped by 105s, firing at close range. As the weakened enemy fell back, the Air Force was called in to pound their escape routes. In its first engagement in jungle warfare, the men of the Big Red One fought like veterans. There were casualties, but the Viet Cong left 198 dead on the battlefield. It was more than just a victory for the tired infantrymen. It was proof they could defeat a hard-fighting enemy on his own terrain. A few days later, on November 20th, another road convoy turned the tables on a would-be Viet Cong ambush near Trung Loi. The convoy immediately set up a defense perimeter and returned fire. When a gunship drove the enemy from cover, heavy ground fire, especially by the mortar platoon, smashed the trap. The victory at Trung Loi was followed early in December by the biggest and most successful battle of the year. This was Ap Nham Ma, northwest of 3rd Brigade headquarters at Lai Khe. A task force was searching the countryside, eliminating Viet Cong bases, blowing up bunkers and underground factories. When they ran head-on into a fortified base camp defended by 4 battalions of the enemy. A violent firefight broke out immediately. A radio call for fire support brought in deadly concentrations of howitzer fire and repeated tactical airstrikes. After 2 hours of fierce fighting, an infantry assault finally routed the enemy. The Big Red One had its losses, But medevac ambulance helicopters saved many lives by flying in to remove the wounded, even as the fighting went on. Patrols grew larger and longer as the division increased its pressure on the elusive enemy. Even so, there was time for mercy missions to the...
All right, I'm going to keep with the 1965 theme. Let's do a little music.
The division's mission was to defend the northern approaches to Saigon.
Still got to keep with 1965 here behind the lines. This is behind VC lines in 1965. We're keeping with 1965 today. Kaboom. Those punji pits you've heard about. They're digging them tunnels and trenches. Yeah, this is all 1965, so there's some information that's kind of limited, and I just want, this guy said his dad showed up in October 1965. I just turned a year old in 1965, so now there's a little bit of there, some music from 1960. I wanted to do something different besides the same old CCR, Rolling Stones, whatever. It's some music you can't use without some heavy-duty restrictions. Oh, man, check this out. Check that out, right through a boot, man. They got some serious, serious booby traps. I'm going to end up doing a video about these guys. Yeah, that's a Viet Cong film right here. So check that out. It's a friggin' log with a bunch of spikes on it, man. It's like, let's go kill a polar bear with this thing. So no, it's just a horn salute to all the veterans out there. Grandparents fought World War II. They had children who grew into be sons, and their sons ended up fighting in this war. Now, the people in the early part of the war, say 65, 66, very patriotic. A lot of them volunteered for like the 173rd Airborne. A lot of them volunteered to be paratroopers. And you can tell these first guys were patriotic, but by the time, and you can see a little bit of difference by the time the war gets to 1969, 70, it's a whole different look, a whole different attitude. It's a drafty army. The marijuana, a lot of the drugs have crept in, the counterculture had crept in. So there is a difference between those first guys that showed up. They're very patriotic Americans to the draftees. No, when I was growing up and shit, there's this guy, DW. He was with this, I guess, 18th Armor Cav that got this Mustang patch on there. It's like this black stallion patch. I was going to do this video, but a guy here on the comments said, could you do something with the big red one? So keeping with the 1965 theme here, horn salute. Thank you, vets, for there. Another thing, never underestimate your enemy. Know your enemy, and even fight like your damn enemy if you have to. That's what these guys were up against. Happy Veterans Day, guys. Yeah, it's next year will be 60 years since this. Hit that like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.